This wasn't supposed to happen. CarMax, the company that reinvented how Americans buy used cars, just made a mistake so big it sent shockwaves across Wall Street. A $5.2 billion write-down. The CEO was fired, investors panicking, and behind it all, a story far darker than anyone expected. Because this isn't just about one company making bad calls. It's about what happens when honesty meets a market built on illusions. While its rival, Carvana, posted miraculous profits and skyrocketing stock prices, CarMax was forced to admit the truth. Its numbers didn't add up. Cars sitting for months, loans going bad, repossessions rising. The system CarMax built on transparency suddenly became its own worst enemy. And now, everyone, from dealers to banks, is asking the same terrifying question. If CarMax can collapse, who's next? But to understand how a $5.2 billion hole appeared overnight, we have to go back to where this story really began. Not in a boardroom, but in a small store in Richmond, Virginia, 30 years ago. In 1993, CarMax opened its doors with a simple promise. Buying a car shouldn't feel like a gamble. No haggling, no tricks. Just one price, fair and final. At a time when used car lots were notorious for fast talkers and shady deals, CarMax felt revolutionary. The idea came from Circuit City's leadership, retail experts who believed transparency could win where manipulation had ruled. Each car came with a full inspection sheet, a fixed price tag, and a clean history. For buyers used to haggling over every dollar, it was like stepping into a different world. The public loved it. Families lined up outside the first store, grateful for a process that didn't feel like a battle. By 1997, CarMax went public. Its slogan wasn't about the lowest price, it was about trust. The company didn't just sell cars, it sold confidence. Inside, managers preached fairness like gospel. If a customer complained, they fixed it. No arguments. Their reports to shareholders proudly highlighted customer satisfaction scores, and it worked. By the early 2000s, CarMax had become the biggest used car retailer in America, expanding into city after city with gleaming lots and friendly faces. But buried in that success was a quiet assumption that the numbers would always stay steady, that car prices would never collapse, that loans would stay manageable, and that honesty would always pay off. For nearly 3 decades, that belief held, until it didn't. What really powered CarMax wasn't just customer service, it was data. Every sale, every appraisal, every customer review was logged, analyzed, and fed back into a vast digital brain that guided every decision. They built an algorithmic empire, a pricing system that updates daily, adjusting to auctions, regional trends, and even gas prices. A Ford F-150 in Phoenix would cost the same as one in Pittsburgh, down to the dollar. No shady backroom deals. By the 2000s, CarMax executives bragged that they weren't just a car dealer. They were a data company. They poured hundreds of millions into digital infrastructure, building an omni-channel platform where customers could browse online, buy in-store, or have their car delivered. Everything was measured. Staff bonuses tied to customer ratings, promotions tied to data accuracy. Algorithms determined what cars to buy, how much to pay, and when to mark them down. Transparency wasn't just a policy, it was coded into the system itself. But there was a hidden risk. Algorithms thrive on predictability. When the world behaves as expected, they're brilliant. When it doesn't, they break. And when the used car market started behaving in ways no spreadsheet could predict, CarMax's greatest strength became its blind spot. By mid-2024, CarMax's analysts were staring at a dashboard that looked more like a warning light than a roadmap. The system that once hummed with green metrics was flashing red across the board. Cars were piling up. On average, vehicles sat on lots for over 70 days, double what the model predicted. The algorithm, designed to outsmart the market, was now consistently overbidding on trade-ins and auctions. The company was paying too much, too often. A leaked internal memo from September 2024 spelled it out in brutal clarity. If the trend continued, CarMax would be sitting on hundreds of millions in depreciating assets by year's end. The memo's timestamp, 2:16 p.m., September 14th, marked the moment the company's data team essentially predicted its own disaster. Even worse, nearly 40% of CarMax's financing customers were now subprime borrowers with shaky credit and sky-high interest rates, some as high as 23%. Those loans looked profitable on paper but were a ticking bomb in reality. Yet, instead of pulling back, the board doubled down. Executives insisted the market would self-correct. They ignored the red flags. Inside the Richmond headquarters, tension grew. Meetings stretched late into the night. Analysts pleaded for action. Leadership refused. The system had always told them the truth. Now it was telling them something they didn't want to hear, and they couldn't bear to believe it. By the summer of 2025, the nightmare everyone feared became reality. Inventory write-downs, impairment charges, losses stacked like bricks in an avalanche. In total, $5.2 billion. This wasn't just bad luck. It was the cost of transparency. Under accounting rules, CarMax had to mark to market every car on its lots. That meant updating each vehicle's value to match real-time market prices. When prices plummeted, those cars instantly became liabilities. A 2022 Honda Accord bought for $27,000 might now fetch only $22,000. Multiply that by hundreds of thousands of vehicles, and suddenly billions in losses appear, not on paper, but in reality. CarMax's honesty became a spectacle. Each quarter, the company filed public reports revealing exactly how deep the damage ran. While competitors found creative ways to hide their pain, CarMax laid it bare. Wall Street punished them. The stock collapsed another 13% in a single afternoon. Analysts called it the cost of playing by the rules. Inside the boardroom, chaos reigned. CEO Bill Nash, once celebrated for steering CarMax through the pandemic years, became the scapegoat. Under pressure from investors, the board fired him. Interim leadership was brought in, promising to restore confidence. But confidence couldn't be restored because the real problem wasn't one bad CEO. It was a market built on denial. And CarMax was the first to stop pretending. While CarMax was being punished for honesty, its biggest rival, Carvana, was being rewarded for illusion. Carvana's stock price soared 50%, even as the broader used car market crumbled. How? By moving risk off its balance sheet through a web of related party deals. Few outside analysts truly understood. Here's how it worked. When Carvana made risky subprime loans, instead of keeping them, it sold them to DriveTime and Bridgecrest, companies also controlled by the Garcia family, Carvana's own founders. On paper, the loans vanished. The risk disappeared. The books looked clean, but it was a shell game. The risk didn't go away. It just moved to another pocket of the same empire. Wall Street cheered. Earnings looked miraculous, but insiders knew the truth. Carvana was playing accounting gymnastics, while CarMax was bleeding for telling the truth. Analysts like Garrett Nelson at CFRA started sounding alarms. Carvana's results are almost too good to be true. Still, the market ignored it. Investors wanted a hero, not a reality check. CarMax became the industry's cautionary tale, while Carvana became its fantasy. But fantasies can't last forever, and when they collapse, the fallout always hits the people least able to handle it. CarMax's fall didn't happen in isolation. It exposed cracks running through the entire automotive ecosystem. Across the country, dealers were drowning in unsold inventory. Manufacturers like Ford and Stellantis kept pumping out cars, flooding lots to hit their quarterly targets. Dealers called it channel stuffing. Automakers called it inventory optimization. Either way, someone had to pay the interest on all those unsold cars. Independent dealers took out floor plan loans to cover the costs. Every day a car sat, they owed more. When sales slowed, those debts piled up. Behind the scenes, state attorneys general began investigating whether automakers were manipulating numbers, sending more cars than dealers could sell just to inflate sales data. Early probes in New York, Illinois, and California requested records on allocations, financing terms, and repossession rates. For the first time in years, regulators smelled smoke. Meanwhile, lenders tightened credit. Capital One, Ally Bank, and others started raising standards, fearing another wave of defaults. The industry that once prided itself on moving metal was now frozen in place, with cars collecting dust under fluorescent lights. CarMax's $5.2 billion meltdown wasn't a freak event. It was the first domino to fall in a chain reaction that could reach every corner of the used car market. And at the center of that chaos were millions of ordinary people trying to make their car payments. John Matthews doesn't appear in CarMax's earnings report, He's a 44-year-old plumber from Indiana who bought a used F-150 in spring 2024 for $34,500. His credit was bruised. A divorce, medical bills, and a few late payments. CarMax approved him anyway, at 22.7% APR. That meant over $400 a month for 7 years. When overtime at the factory dried up, John fell behind. By summer 2025, he was 3 months late. One morning, just before 6 a.m., the repo truck rolled quietly down his street. Within minutes, his truck and his way to work was gone. John's story isn't unique. According to Fitch Ratings, subprime auto loan delinquencies have surged 27% year over year. Across the industry, millions are one missed payment away from losing the cars that get them to their jobs. CarMax's own filings show loan loss reserves doubling in a single year. Analysts call it a canary in the coal mine. But the human side rarely makes headlines. It's not about balance sheets. It's about empty driveways, missed shifts, and families scrambling for rides. While Wall Street debates mark-to-market losses, people like John pay the real price of a broken system, one that rewards deception and punishes transparency. After Nash's firing, CarMax's board scrambled to prove it still had control. They brought back veteran executive Thomas Folliard as interim chair and promised sweeping reviews of risk practices. But internally, morale was shattered. Employees whispered that the company was punishing the very honesty it once championed. Analysts downgraded the stock. Morningstar, Barclays, and CFRA all issued sell ratings. Hedge funds quietly reduced stakes. And yet, some on Wall Street began to wonder, maybe CarMax was actually right. Maybe the rest of the industry was hiding the same rot, just better. Because when a company built on transparency collapses for telling the truth, it raises a terrifying question. Is honesty still a survivable business model in America? Even as Carvana's numbers glittered and EV demand spiked, behind the scenes, repossession yards filled with cars that told a different story. A story of borrowers trapped in 23% loans, dealers buried in unsold inventory, and banks scrambling to avoid another 2008-style meltdown. CarMax's collapse didn't just hurt its shareholders. It shattered an illusion that had propped up the entire industry, that you could use transparency as a shield in a market built on leverage. The same algorithms that once enforced fairness became instruments of pain when prices fell. The same truthful accounting that won customer trust destroyed investor confidence. Meanwhile, companies that played fast and loose with their books, hiding losses through creative finance, were rewarded with rising stocks and media praise. It's a mirror of the larger American economy, where short-term illusions often outperform long-term integrity. CarMax wasn't just a victim of bad timing. It was a victim of a culture that no longer values truth if it hurts profits. But here's the catch. Markets always correct eventually. When Carvana's loan bundles start cracking, when dealers can't move their inventory, when buyers walk away from 23% loans they can't pay, the truth that CarMax was punished for telling will become everyone else's nightmare. And when that happens, the question won't be, how did CarMax fail? It'll be, how did everyone else get away with lying for so long? The $5.2 billion mistake that got CarMax's CEO fired wasn't just about bad management or flawed data. It was a reckoning for an entire industry addicted to denial. CarMax told the truth and was punished for it. Carvana spun a fantasy and was rewarded. But truth has a way of catching up, because behind every earnings call, every chart, and every record profit are people like John, watching their cars roll away on flatbeds. The collapse of CarMax isn't just a corporate tragedy. It's a warning. If the only way to survive is to pretend everything's fine, then the next crash won't just cost billions. It will cost something far harder to replace: trust. And once that's gone, no amount of data, branding, or PR can buy it back.